So how should we handle the next time? And there will be a next time when we have a sitting or former president investigated for possible criminal conduct. Elie Honig, our senior CNN legal analyst, has given the matter great thought. He's about to publish a deep dive into every instance where the DOJ, since its founding, has been called upon to conduct such an investigation. This book has the pace of a Scott Turow thriller, and with new inside reporting based on interviews with the actual participants in these cases, Elie traces the evolution from the ruleless Wild West era through the independent counsel and special counsel eras. It's kind of a greatest hits recounting of the work of Watergate prosecutors involved in the Saturday Night Massacre, and reminds us of the work of many prosecutors who in their time have all become household names. Archibald Cox and Ken Starr and Patrick Fitzgerald, Robert Mueller, John Durham, Robert Hur, David Weiss, and of course, Jack Smith. Provocatively, Elie suggests that we need a semi-permanent special counsel position within the DOJ. The book is called When You Come at the King. CNN senior legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Elie Honig joins me now. Elie, congrats on the book. Like you, I loved The Wire, but you better explain the book title to everybody else.
So, Michael, this is an expression that goes back centuries, the idea when you come at the king, you best not miss. But, of course, nobody said it better than the great Michael K. Williams, who, of course, played Omar in The Wire. And I most definitely did take the title from The Wire. What it reflects to me is two things. One, from speaking with these dozens of people on record who were involved in cases from Watergate through Jack Smith, the drama, the stakes, every one of them realized. Somebody said to me, I knew that whatever else I did in my career, I would take this one to the grave with me. The other thing that the title reflects is the era we're in now. During Donald Trump's second term, he has made entirely clear, A, there will be no inward-looking investigation of him, in contrast to his first term, and B, anyone who does will be punished. There will be retribution. And even since I finished writing the book, Michael, we've seen this series of retributive DOJ prosecutions launched. So I think we are in a different historical era now.
Something that occurred to me while reading your book is that every person who's played this role has been selected because they have impeccable credentials, and then they see their conduct called into question. Why is that the case?
Well, some of them have just done a lousy job. I mean, Ken Starr has not aged well in terms of history. I talked to people from Starr's team. I talked to people from Clinton's team. I'll let the reader draw their own conclusion. But beyond that, presidents have a long history of undermining and obstructing these investigations. I mean, most infamously, Nixon, the Saturday Night Massacre. I actually talked to two members of the Watergate team who told us what it was like in that office the Sunday morning after. They didn't know if they had been fired. There was erroneous reports that they had all been fired. And they both told me the team got together and met and said, what should we do? And Archibald Cox walks in and says, do not give him what he wants. You stay here and you do your job. And then there's Robert Mueller, more recently, right? The man's an American hero, Purple Heart winner, FBI director during 9/11. Yet he comes out of it. He was attacked by Donald Trump verbally every day. His reputation was shattered among right-wingers, and left-wingers were disappointed. They were hoping for more definitive results from him. I interviewed members of Mueller's team. They worship the man. They support what he did, but they also raise some questions about his tactics.
You reference Secretary Clinton. You argue in the book that the decision not to appoint a special counsel on the email case back in 2016, that was a mistake and that it demonstrates why we sometimes need outside prosecutors. So what's that lesson?
Yeah, the best example of why we need some rules is what happens when we ignore the rules. So Loretta Lynch has this tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton. They both say nothing inappropriate happened, but Loretta Lynch herself said that it cast a shadow, that's her word, over the case. Yet rather than appointing a special counsel, which the AG could have done, she basically hands the reins over to Jim Comey, who proceeds to make it all up as he goes along. There's no rules, guidelines. He runs wild. He makes the two election eve 2016 announcements. And I do a deep dive in the book. And I think the bottom line is he probably, not certainly, but probably swung the result of that election. And that's what happens when somebody ad-libs.
Yeah, Lanny Davis wrote a whole book making that argument about swaying the election. Elie, you focus on the recent run of the special counsel cases. I'm thinking Mueller, I'm thinking Durham, I'm thinking Hur, I'm probably leaving somebody out, Weiss, Smith. Was that period, this period, the outlier, or is this the new way it's going to get done?
It absolutely was an outlier, Michael. You named all five. We went through 5 special counsels in a 7-year or so period. But in the 17 years before that, we only had 1. So I do think it was historically anomalous that we had that period, but I think we've learned a lot from it. Now, look, we're not going to have a traditional special counsel for the next 3 years. I think that's clear, unless they're used in a retributive way. But one thing I argue in the book is this institution is too vital, it's too important, and it needs to be restored.
Okay, and you say, therefore, there ought to be a semi-permanent version in DOJ. What would it take to establish that? I can only imagine no president is going to want that to happen.
Well, that's the thing. Whenever the next president, the 48th president, takes over, there's going to be a lot of guardrails that have been kicked down by Donald Trump, and it's going to be tempting to leave them on the ground. But I argue to whoever that person may be that this needs to come back. Now, I went through all sorts of scholarly articles, law review articles, but I also talked to the participants, and I said, what worked for you and what did you think did not work? Defense side, prosecution side. And I came up with this proposal, which has been proposed before, that we need someone who is embedded within DOJ, like the FBI director, serves a set term of years, 5 years, so they'll carry across administrations. Ideally would need to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate, so that person has a combination of independence but also political accountability. I argue the person needs more protections against firing. I argue that we need to vet the members of that team for any political bias. I think you need people on those teams who cannot possibly be labeled as partisan. So there's no perfect solution, Michael. We've been trying for centuries to get it exactly right, but history does show us that every 20 or 25 years or so, it's time to renew and re-examine the system. And we are right at that point. We've had the current regime for 26 years. So let's take a look at how we can do it better moving ahead.
Final question, yes or no, no BS. If you were offered a special counsel role to investigate a president, would Elie Honig take it? I think I know the answer.
I would. It's just my old prosecutor genes would kick in.
Right.
I'd get that burst of adrenaline.
I knew it.
I'd want to be back in the court.
Let me say, I would hate to be the president. I would hate to be the president, whomever the president might be, if Elie Honig is the special counsel. And one last thing, I can't wait to buy a copy of When You Come at the King, because I don't know if you can see this, but my advance copy, which I've read thoroughly, is literally held together with electric duct tape. All right, there it is, because that's how frayed I've made it. Good luck on the book.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it.